जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। हरे कृष्ण। This auspicious occasion of Mokshada Ekadashi and Gita Jayanti, we will be reciting the translations of complete Bhagavad Gita. Please ensure that we read it not just for the sake of completing it, but to uh, understand it thoroughly in this next 1.5 hours. And let us try to have some practical applications after today's reading. That is more important. Our dedication should increase after today's reading. तो हम मंगलाचरण से स्टार्ट करेंगे। कुछ श्लोकों को भी रिसाइट करेंगे, जो प्रोमिनेंट श्लोकस नीचे मत रखो, जो प्रोमिनेंट श्लोकस हैं। आप लोग आगे आगे आ सकते हैं, डिवोटीज और आएंगे, फिर पीछे स्पेस नहीं रहेगा। ये मृदंग उधर रख सकते हैं, आगे आगे आ सकते हैं सभी। और आ जाओ इधर, उधर कॉर्नर में रख दीजिए। तो मंगलाचरण से स्टार्ट करेंगे। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। भगवद गीता चैप्टर 1। धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे सामवेत युयुत्सवा मामका पांडवाश्चैव किम अकुर्वत संजय। अब हम सिर्फ ट्रांसलेशंस रीड करेंगे थ्रू आउट चैप्टर 1। धृतराष्ट्र said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation, by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjun, great fighters like Yuddhan, Virat, and Drupad. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraj, Purujit, Kunti Bhoj, and Sabya. These there are the mighty Yuddhamanyu, the powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are the great chariot fighters. But for your information, O best of Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are specially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadat called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battles. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military sciences. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by the grandfather Bhishma, whereas the sons of Pandavas, strength of Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhim, is limited. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into phalanx of army. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of the lion, giving the Duryodhan joy. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjun, stationed on the great chariot drawn by the white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya, Arjun blew his Devadat, and Bhim, the voracious eater and the performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shells called Pondra. King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakul and Sadev blew the Sughosh and Mani Pushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virat, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupad, and the sons of Draupadi and others, O kings, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky on the earth. It shattered the hearts, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. At that time, Arjun, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrow. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in the military array, Arjun then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Arjun said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in the great trial of arms. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil minded son of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharat, having thus been addressed by Arjun, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, Just behold, Parth, all the Kurus assembled here. There Arjun could see within the midst of armies of both the parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and all his father-in-law and well-wishers. When the son of Kunti, Arjun, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjun said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friend and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, and my bow Gandiv is slipping from my hand. and my skin is burning. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when those for whom we may desire this are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father in law, grandsons, brother in law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in the exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will be derived from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? O Janardhan, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the woman of the family becomes polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted child, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by the disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Sanjaya said, Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Chapter 2, Contents of Gita summarized. Sanjay said, seeing Arjun full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana Krishna spoke the following words. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Kutastava Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anayajushtam Asvargam Akirti Karma Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjun, how have these purities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. Arjun said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrow in the battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? It would be better to live in the world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of the great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Karpanya dosha pahata swabhava prachami tvam dharma samuddacheta yashreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me Shishyaste aham sadiman tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on the earth with sovereignty like that, like the demigods in the heaven. Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjun, chastiser of enemy, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharat, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both armies, spoke the following words to grief-stricken Arjun. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Ashocyahan Vachochastvam Pragyam Vadamscha Bhashase Gatasun Agatasunascha Nanu Shochanti Panditaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking the learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in future shall any of us cease to be. Dehinosmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhiras tatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. Also, a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Matra sparshastu konteya sitoshana sukha dukkada agama paino nityastam sitikshava bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in the due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. O best among men, Arjun, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are the seers of the truth have concluded that of the non existent material body there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of the both. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat. Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it is slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. O Parth, how can a person who knows the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person puts on new garments, giving up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts new bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. The soul can never be cut to pieces by weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by air, nor withered by wind. The individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that that the soul or the symptoms of the life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. One who has taken birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All the created beings are unmanifest in the beginning, manifest in the interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what is the need for what need is there for lamentation? Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. O descendant of Bharat, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on the religious principles. So there is no need for hesitation. O Parth, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now, listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourselves from the bondage of works. In this, neha vikarma nashasti pratyavayo na vidyate sualpam asyapi dharmasya trayate mato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha guru nandana bahushakai anantasya buddhayo vyavasayina. Those who are on this path are resolute in the purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of Kuru, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for the elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. In the minds of those who are too attached to the sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjun, become transcendental to these three modes, be free from the dualities, from all anxieties, for gain and safety, and be established in the self. All purposes served by small well can at once be served by the great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. You have right to perform your prescribed karmandeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbur mate sangas asu. You have right to perform your prescribed duty. but you are not entitled to the fruits of the action. Never consider yourself the cause of the result of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Perform your duty equipoised, O Arjun, abandoning all attachment to the success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities for distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions, even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. By thus engaging in the devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of the work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Arjun said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of those of the one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Parth, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. One who is not disturbed in the mind, even in the midst, even one is not disturbed in the mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness. And one who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage of steady mind. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in the perfect knowledge. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in the perfect consciousness. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste of sense objects remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in the consciousness. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as the man of steady intelligence. While contemplating the objects of senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When the memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of Lord. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of the material existence exist no longer. In such a satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be happiness without peace? As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Therefore, O mighty armed, One whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. What is night for all beings is time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is the night for the introspective sage. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enters like rivers in the oceans, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, and who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki. So chapter 3 and 4 Ayodhya Prabhu will read. Translation. कोई prominent श्लोक है तो श्लोक decide करते हैं.
Arjuna said, O Janardhan, O Keshav, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjun, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense object, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणो न्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्म बन्धना तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसंगा समाचरा. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of man and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gift without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. यज्ञशिष्टासि न सन्तो मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल विषय पुञ्जते ते त्वगं पापा ये पचन्ति आत्मकारणात्. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. My dear Arjuna, one who doesn't follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice as established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. A self realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. यद् यद् आचरति श्रेष्ठस्तत्तदेवतरो जना स यत् प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तद् अनुवर्तते. Translation फिर से पढ़ें. O son of Pratha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Parth, certainly all men would follow my path. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may simply similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path, so as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties. A learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Therefore, O Arjun, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. कर्माणि सन्न्यस्याध्यात्मचेतसा निराशी निर्ममो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगतज्वरा. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunction and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self realization. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than others' duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous.
Let one person read, others can just silently read. समझ नहीं आ रहा है. Let one person read, others can keep silent and just keep reading.
Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhava Mahasano Mahapapa Viddenam Iha Vairinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Avritam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. Thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders them. Therefore, O Arjun, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self realization. The working senses are superior to dull matter, mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjun, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust.
Chapter 4.
Chapter 4 Transcendental Knowledge. Imam Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivashvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivashvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvaku Abravit. The personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashvan, and Vivashvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम इमं राजर्षयो विदु सकाले नेह महता yogo nashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way, but in course of time the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Saevayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi etaduttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivashvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? The personality of Godhead said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirabhavati bharata abhyutthanamadharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेति तत्त्वता त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सो अर्जुना. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजामि अहं मम वर्तमाननुवर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वसा. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pratha. Man in this world desires success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, man get result from fruitive work in this world. चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्मविभागसा तस्य कर्तारम् अपि मां विद्याकर्तारम् अव्ययम्. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reaction. He who is satisfied with gain which comes to its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of the supreme Brahman. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. And others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the object of the senses in the fire of the senses. Others who are interested in achieving self realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath, restrained to remain in trance, practice by offering the movements of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reaction, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifice, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? All these different type of sacrifices are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the bare sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pratha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Having obtained real knowledge from a self realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjun, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. But ignorant and faithful persons who doubt the revealed scriptures But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work. O conqueror of riches! Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharat, stand and fight.
Chapter 5. Arjun said, no battery in this. Arjun said, O Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work, in devotion, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but for of the two, work in devotional service is better than the renunciation of work. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjun. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieve the results of both. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy, but a thoughtful person engaged in the devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. One who works in devotion, who is pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him, though always working, such a man is never entangled. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does not nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. थोड़ा volume कम करो इसका. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by the sinful action as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, and intelligence, and even with senses only for the purposes of purification. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the results of his activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. The humble sages, by the virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Those whose mind are established in sameness and equality. Okay, one is left out. 17th is left out. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. The humble sages, by the virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Outcast. Those whose minds are established in the sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, thus they are already situated in Brahman. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God is already situated in transcendence. Such a liberated person is not attracted to the material sense pleasure but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. An intelligent person does not take part in source of misery, which are due to the contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always okay. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the supreme. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for welfare of all living beings and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the supreme. Those who are free from anger and material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured for liberation in the supreme in the very near future. Someone is constantly thoda sa chup reh sakta. Shutting out external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. The transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who work as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pandu. For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. For one who is neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. For him who has conquered the mind is the best friend. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained the tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. A person is said to be established in self-realization. Is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by the virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-control. He sees everything, whether it be pebble, stone, or gold, as the same. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with equal mind. A transcendentalist should always engage in his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in the secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feeling of possessiveness. To practice yoga, one should go to secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with the deer skin, a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in the sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, activities, and fixing the mind at one point. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in the straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to kingdom of the God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. There is no possibility of one becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. He who is regulated in the habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. When the yogi, by the practice of yoga, discipline his mental activities and becomes situated in the transcendence devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. As a lamp in the windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in the meditation on the transcendental self. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in the boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses, established of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into the family of righteous people or into the family of rich aristocracy. The or, if unsuccessful after a long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in the family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again ritualistic principles of scriptures. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed off all contaminations, then achieving perfection, ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. A yogi is greater than uh, a yogi is greater than ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjun, in all circumstances, be a yogi. And of all yogis, भगवान सब explain करने के बाद बोल रहे हैं. And of all yogis, the one, you can recite this with me. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of all. That is my opinion. पूरा योग एक्सप्लेन करने के बाद भगवान क्या कह रहे हैं? क्या करो? लविंग डिवोशनल सर्विस. उसका भी मतलब योग का भी कोई फायदा नहीं. चैप्टर 7. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjun, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material nature, the inferior nature. All created beings have their source in these 2 natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and the ability in man. I am the original fragrance of the earth. And I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives. And I am the penances of ascetics. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seat of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of the powerful man. I am the strength of strong, divide of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to the religious principles. O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjun, know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by one energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Deluded by the 3 modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who are surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of the demons, do not surrender unto me. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men began to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of the wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for the knowledge of the absolute. Of these, the one who is full of knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is best, for I am very dear to him and he is very dear to me. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in the knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and the most perfect goal. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be to the cause of all causes and all that. Such a great soul is very rare. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by the material desire surrender unto demigod and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to the particular deity. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Unintelligent man who does not know me perfectly think that I the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before, and now I have assumed the personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in past and all that is happening in present and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. O Scion of Bharat, O conqueror of foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about the transcendental activities. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods and of all the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme. Arjun acquired, O Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is self? What are the fruitive activities? What is the material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in body? O Madhusudan, and how can those engaged in the devotional service know you at the time of death? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities. O best of embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods like those of sun and moon, is called Adideva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yagya, the Lord of sacrifice. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attain my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Parth, is sure to reach me. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as He who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. One who at the time of death fixes his life here between the eyebrows, and by strength of yoga, with an undeviated mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Person who are learned in Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. The yogic situation is that of detachment from the sensual engagements, closing the doors of the senses, and fixing the mind on the heart and life here at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. After being situated in yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of the letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in the devotional service. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary material world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest. All are the places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Punarjanma na vidyate. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. At the beginning of Brahma's day, the living entities become manifest from unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifested state again and again. When Brahma's day arrives, all the living entities comes into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to the manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in the material world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. That which the Vedantis describes as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which having attained it one never returns, that is my supreme abode. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading and everything is situated within him. O best of Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain the Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of fiery God in the light at the auspicious moment of the day, and during the fortnight of waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. The mystic who passes from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in the light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjun, they are never bewildered. They are always fixed in devotion. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive works. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches supreme eternal abode. Everything is possible with devotional service. Chapter 9. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjun, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of the material existence. This knowledge is the king of the education, the most secret of all secrets. It is purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of self realization, it is perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed." Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of the enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in the material world. So you have to become faithful. By me, in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence, although I am the maintainer of although I'm the maintainer of all living entities, and although I'm everywhere, I'm not the part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rests in me. O son of Kunti, at the end of millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all move. O son of the material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the perfection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in the devotional service because they know me to be as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Others who engage in the sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, and the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I am the father of the universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also Rig, the Sam, and the Yajur Vedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. O Arjun, I give heat and I withhold and I send forth the rain. I am immorality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and sense of pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. I am the original enjoyer and the master of all the sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship the ghosts and the spirit will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. If one offers with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. In this way, you will be freed from the bondage to the work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but to whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also friend to him. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is considered to be saintly because he is properly situated in the determination. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, and Shudras, can attain the supreme destination. How much more this is so of righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Be completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. Chapter 10. The opulence of the absolute. Personality of Godhead said, listen again, O mighty armed Arjun, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. Neither the hosts of the demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of demigods and sages. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only undiluted among men is freed from all sins. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of senses, control of mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, infamy. All these various quantities of living beings are created by me alone. The seven great sages, and before them, the four other great sages and the Manus, progenitors of the mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Arjun said, you are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Sita Devala, and Vyasa confirmed this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring this to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of demigods, Lord of universe, please tell me in detail of your divine opulence by which you pervade all these worlds. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Personality of Godhead? O Janardhan, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulence. I am never satiated in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I will tell you my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent. O Arjun, my opulence is limitless. I am the super soul of I am the super soul, O Arjun, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of the lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Marutas, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon. Of the Vedas, I am Samaved. The demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And the living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Of the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva, and of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni, and of the mountains, I am Meru. Of the priests, O Arjun, know me to be the chief Brihaspati. O of the generals, I am Kartike. Of the bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of the great sages, I am Brigu. Of the vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of the sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of the immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Of the trees, I am the banyan tree. And of the sages among the demigods, I am Narad. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitrartha. And among the perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Of the horses, know me to be Ucheshrava, produced during the churning of the ocean of the nectar of the lordly elephants, I am Airavat. And among the men, I am the monarch. Of the weapons, I am thunderbolt. Among the cows, I am Surbhi. Of the causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. Of the serpents, I am Vasuki. Of the many-hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. Among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varun. Of the departed ancestors, I am Aryama. And among the dispensers of the law, I am Yama, the lord of death. Among the Daityas, demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among the subduers, I am the time. Among the beasts, I am the lion. Among the birds, I am Garuda. Of the purifiers, I am the wind. The wielders of the weapon, I am Ram. Of the fishes, I am shark. And of the flowing rivers, I am Ganges. Of the creations, I am the beginning, and the end, also the middle. O Arjun, of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians, I am conclusive truth. Of the letters, I am the letter A. Among the compound words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of the creators, I am Brahma. I am all devouring death, and I am generating the principle of that is yet to be. Among the women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Of the hymns in Samaveda, I am Brihad Sama, and of the poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of the months, I am Marg. I am Margshirsa, and of the season, I am flower bearing spring. I am also the gambling of cheats. Of the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory. I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong. O descendant of Rishni, I am Vasudev, and the Pandavas, I am among the and of the Pandavas, I am Arjun. Of the sages, I am Vyas. Among the great thinkers, I am Ushan. Among all the means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. And of all those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence. And of the wise, I am wisdom. Furthermore, O Arjun, I am the generating seed of all existence. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulence. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring forth but a spark of my splendor. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. We are devotees of such a Lord. Chapter 11. Revol. Chapter 11. Arjun said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered in the cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me the unlimited universal self. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjun, O son of Pritha, see now my opulence, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine, and multicolored forms. O best of Bharat, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwin Kumaras, and all the demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard before. O Arjun, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you desire to see and whatever you may want to see in future. Everything moving and non-moving is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Sanjay said, O king, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic powers, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjun. Arjun saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. At that time, Arjun could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansion of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjun bowed his head to offer obeisance and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Arjun said, my dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all other sages and the divine serpents. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, no beginning. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence spreading in all sides like blazing fire or immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. You are the supreme primeval objective. You are the ultimate resting place of the universe. You are inexhaustible. You are oldest. You are maintainer of eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. That is my opinion. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and the moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O great one, seeing the wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. All the hosts of the demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayer with folded hands. Hosts of the great sages and perfected beings crying, all peace, are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Vishvedevas, the two Ashvis, the Marutas, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form with many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. O all pervading Vishnu, seeing you with many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouth and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the world, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, thus your glazing death-like faces and awful teeth in all directions. I am bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and the Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also are rushing into your fearful mouths. And some I see trapped with the head smashed between your teeth. As many waves of the river flow into ocean, so do all these great warriors enter blazing into your mouth. I see all the people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash to destruction in the blazing fire. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both the sides will be slain. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win the glory, conquer your enemies, and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be put in an instrument in the fight. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered obeisances with the folded hands again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in faltering voice as follows. Arjun said, O master of senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homages, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then they why then should they not offer their respectful obeisance unto you, O limitless one, gods of all gods, refuge of the universe? You are invincible, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality of Godhead, the old is the ultimate century of manifested cosmic worlds. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes, O limitless form. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are air, you are the supreme controller, you are fire, you are water, you are moon, you are Brahma, the first living creature, you are great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times and again and yet again. Obeisances to you from front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadav, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive me whatever I have done in madness or love. I have dishonored you many times. Jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes sat alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all these offenses. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor anyone be one with you, how then could be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? You are the supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, as a friend, the impertinence of a friend, or a husband, the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs that I have done to you. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead. O Lord of Lords, O abode of universe. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head, with club, with wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjun, happily have I shown you, but by my internal potency, this supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. O best of Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances, can I be seen in this form in the material world. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see form you desire. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjun, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjun. When Arjun thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardhan, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in my mind and I am restored to my original nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjun, this form of mine you are seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjun, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. Only this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understandings. My dear Arjun, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of the fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly for every living being, he certainly comes to me. Chapter 12, Devotional Service. किसी की फास्ट रीडिंग है आप में से? करो, आ जाओ, इधर आ जाओ, जल्दी जल्दी जल्दी. फास्ट रीडिंग है ना, बट विद अंडरस्टैंडिंग. देखो इसको से.
Arjun inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, all pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus, you will live in me always without a doubt. My dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act, giving up all results of your work, and try to be self situated. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. One who is not envious but is kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self controlled, and engaged in devotional service, which determination his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised and in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Chapter 13.
Chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. Arjun said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and the knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and the one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." O scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower of all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, which its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. The knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of the activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the five sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions, all these considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self realization and philosophical research for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. I shall now explain the knowledge, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is master of all modes of material nature. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, is to be understood that he devours and develops all. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Thus, the field of activities, the body, the knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus can attain to my nature. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the mode of matter are products of this material nature. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of all various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. The living entity in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Yet in this body, there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working with fruitive desires. Without fruitive desires. Again, there are those who, although not conservant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul with the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in the living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. One who can see that all the activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to Brahman conception. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature, despite contact with the material body. O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all the universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the stages have attained the supreme perfection. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature of my own. Thus established one, not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that is impregnate, that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharat. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am seed-giving father. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode being conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities, the result of the mode of madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive actions, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of the great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desires and hankering develop. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. The result of pious actions is pure and is said to be the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and the action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops, and from the mode of ignorance develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes of associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Arjuna inquired, "O my dear Lord, by which symptom is the known who is transcendental to these three modes? What the modes of nature?" The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of all of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes of alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards like happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone of, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who is renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcendent modes of nature. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at one transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and it is constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
Anyone else has fast reading?
Chapter 15. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. The branches of this tree is extended downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of senses. The tree is also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. The real form of this tree cannot perceived in this world. No one can understand where it stands, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one can cut down this strongly rooted tree with a weapon of detachment. Thereafter one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Those who are free from the false prestige, illusion, false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with the material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and tristesse, and who unbewildered, who know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. That supreme adobe of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon, or nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. The living entity is in this conditioned world are my eternal fragments parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with six senses, which include mind. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air catches aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to another. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. A foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in the knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in the self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not clearly not developed and who are not situated in self realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. The splendor of sun which dissipates the darkness of this whole world comes from me, and the splendor of moon, the splendor of fire are also from me. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am known to be indeed. I am compiler of Vedanta, and I am knower of the Vedas. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Beside these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Because I am transcendental beyond the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotion service to me, O son of Bharata. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
Who else wants to read? Chapter 16.
Chapter 16, Divine and the Demoniac Natures. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities of son of Bharat belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance, these qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pratha. The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. O son of Pratha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work attracted by the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the senses is the supreme necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable, bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger. They secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man. surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifice, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. Thus, perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell. Self complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only without following any rules or regulations. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can only sink down to the most abominable type of existence. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. The man who has escaped these three gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. He who discards spiritual injunctions and acts according to his own whims attain neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. One should therefore understand what is duty, what is not duty, and by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated.
The division of faith. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who don't know, follow the principles of scriptures, but worship according to their own imagination? Are they are good? Are they are in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied souls, one faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now, hear about this. Son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one involves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Men in the modes of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Those who undergo several austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish, and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the soul. Even the food each person prefer is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerity, and charity. Now, here the distinctions between them. Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increases the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such food are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those who are in mode of passion. Such food causes distress, miseries, and diseases. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those who are in mode of darkness. Of sacrifice, the sacrifice performed according to the direction of scriptures as a master of duty by those who desire no reward is the nature of goodness. But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. Any sacrifice performed without regard for the directions of scriptures, without distribution of prasadam, spiritual food, without chanting of Vedic hymns and remunerations to the priest, and without faith in considering to be in the mode of ignorance. Austerities of the body consist consistent worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and the mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, non-agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literatures. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of mind. This threefold austerities, performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefit but engaged only for the sake of supreme, is called austerity in goodness. Penances performed out of pride and the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Penances performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place and to worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. But charity performed in the expectation of some return or with desire for fruitative results or in grudging mode is said to be charity in the mode of passion, and the charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy person, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. From the beginning of creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking the performances of sacrifice, charity, and penances, and in accordance with the scriptural regulations, begin always with Om to attain the Supreme. Without desiring fruitative results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance, and charity with word tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from the material entanglements. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice. It is indicated by the word sat. The performer of such sacrifice is also called sat, as are all works of sacrifice, penance, and charity, which, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the supreme person, O son of Partha. Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Partha, is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and in the next life.
Chap- Chapter 18 Conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyag, and of the renounced order of life, sannyas, O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead said the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life sannyas, and giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation tyag. Some learned men declared that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty, yet other sages maintained that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Anyone who prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. The intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. For one who is not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedant, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me. The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the 3 constituents of action. According to the 3 different modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. That action, performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others, is said to be the mode of ignorance. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. That the worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scriptures, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the 3 modes of material nature. O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction, O Parth, is in the mode of ignorance. O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness, by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of darkness. O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self realization, is said to be in the happiness in the mode of goodness. That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be the of the nature of passion. And that happiness which is blind to self realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and delusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from these three modes born of material nature. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished from the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of the enemy. Peacefulness, self control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Shudras, there are labor and service to others. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now, please hear from me how this can be done. By worshipping of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. One who is self controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. O son of Kunti, learn from me now how one who has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self realization. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvata tato mam tattvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Chetasa.
Not this one. Okay, you can continue.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. O sin of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Thus, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Because you are my dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evashyasi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचा. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshva vidasyati bhaktim mai param kritva mam evashyati asamsaya. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind, and are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? Arjuna said, my dear Arjun uvacha nashto moho smriti labdha tattva prasadan maya chuta stitosmi gada sandeha karishyase vachanam tva. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Sanjay said, thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. By the mercy of Vyas, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Yogeshwaro Krishna Pato Dara Tatra Shir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nipir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जगद्गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की गौर प्रेमानंदे. Thank you for joining us.